everyone. Today I am going to talk about something that's really personal to me. It marks the 1 year point since I was put in a mental hospital um, based on the police decision and my wife's decision. As most of you know, I have somatic OCD. I'm going through recovery right now. So, I kind of wanted to talk about my story and how I came about to being in the mental hospital. About this time, I was really suffering. Every single thing about my life was consumed by OCD thoughts, consumed by intrusive thoughts, consumed by intrusive sensations, and I was at a seminar for school, my wife and I. And what happened was, when I was there, I really got into a bad place. I was telling myself I couldn't focus, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. And I really started to spiral to a place that I did not know if I was going to be able to recover from. And I lost hope. And I started saying some very irrational things, and I ended up attempting to jump out of a moving vehicle at some point. And so when we got home, my wife had called the police because I just started playing video games again because I was convinced that I couldn't do anything besides play video games. That was the only thing that gave me relief. So the police came to my house, and the police, talked to me, and they were very compassionate, and they had a lot of empathy, and they said, we aren't here to take you without your permission. We just would really like if you came with us to the mental hospital. So I agreed, and I went, and I think that was at the time very distressing for me. I was very mad at Erica, and it probably ended up being one of the best things that could have happened to me. So what happened? So I get brought to the mental hospital, and I got hold on what's called a Baker Act in Florida. So it was 72 hours. I could not leave until doctor permission and so forth. And then legally, they have to let you leave unless they admit you for another Baker Act. So I got there, and this is when I was afraid to be with my symptoms for even a minute. And I was put into a detaining room for 24 hours with just a mattress and nothing else. So it was just me and a mattress for 24 hours before I got moved into the Baker Act facility, which was another 3 days. And that was really, really tough for me. My anxiety was really, really, really low. But at this time, I want to talk about this for a second. Right now, my anxiety is much, 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 much more high. I developed GAD throughout the middle half of these last 6 months. At the time, I didn't have any anxiety, probably because I was doing so many compulsions that I didn't need, that my anxiety really just wasn't showing because I had so many compulsive behaviors. So sitting on that couch, on that mattress on the floor, really made me realize, just how low I had gotten. And I was really scared of my sensations, really scared of the what ifs. And then from there, they transferred me to the psychiatric unit where I spent 72 hours having observations by psychiatrists and other doctors and residents and so forth. And it was a very unique experience, to say the least. Now, this isn't to say anything about a system or anything like that. So they tried to diagnose me with my bipolar. They'd never met me before, so they didn't realize my personality traits and how hyper I was and so forth. So they automatically said I was bipolar. And this was really distressing to me because, I wasn't accepting of anything at the time. And I also knew that at this point that I had OCD more than likely. And I was very angry and came across very rude, probably, and with a huge attitude. And that definitely wasn't something good because it made them think, maybe this guy has psychosis or whatever, because they don't know anything about you. So, they didn't obviously understand OCD, and that's okay. Especially one of the residents I was talking to. She was a first or second year resident in med school, and it was definitely an experience, to say the least. Now, while I was in there, I had we had a common room, so I did a lot of drawing, a lot of coloring, and I talked a lot with people that were in there. Some of them have been in Baker acted multiple times. I met a really nice kid who had split personality disorder, they believed, and he suffered severely and had been in Baker acted over 100 times in his life. So that's really something to think about. People have really been living in and out of psychiatric hospitals. So they tried to have me take mood stabilizers, which I refused, and I understand why. They wanted to get me down because I was so distressed. Every day I would call Erica and scream at her. I'm going to do another video about the importance of going easy on your loved ones, but I was really, really, really mad at Erica for keeping me stuck in this hospital because at the time I had no perspective and I just blamed her for everything. We had an outside basketball area, which was really cool, so I'd shoot hoops with these people and we would just talk about life and so forth. And I was really down on myself. Had a lot of self-pity. I had national board examinations coming up, so I got Erica to bring me some of my radiology books, so I did have something to keep me occupied and study, so I wasn't completely alone with my thoughts. I could probably sit with my thoughts now for a full week in a bed. I wouldn't enjoy a lot of it still since I'm not, excuse me, recovered, but I could do it. And that was really a turning point for me in my OCD recovery journey, was realizing that, being able to sit with your thoughts is a huge portion of OCD recovery, and accepting that, your OCD is going to morph and change. At the time, I didn't accept any of that. I didn't even know what was going on. I barely knew I had somatic OCD because it was so new to me. I've had OCD my whole entire life. The more and more I think about it, the OCD gene is very prominent in my dad's side, the Pinella side of the family. My grandma had it. My dad was a hoarder, big hoarder. So that's an OCD related disorder. O, whatever they call it. OCRD, whatever. OCD related disorder. Anyway, tangent there. And it was a really, really good but scary experience for me. We had to be in bed by a certain time, and this was when my tinnitus was finally going away, or I was not becoming as scared of it, and I really was just locking on to my sensations. At the time, I really was hard on Erica. When she picked me up, I just went right back to playing video games. I was screaming at her all day. I was really being very, very, very rude. And this was not productive for my life or anything like that because, having the self-pity seems at the time like a good thing to do, but it really won't lead you to recovery. So what happened when I left? Nothing changed. I graduated from school and moved to Colorado and started playing video games a lot. And now looking back on it a year later, I kind of wanted to touch on some things I've learned. I think going to that mental hospital might have been the best thing that ever happened to me because I was in such a low place. So it was a good place for me to be stabilized. So I've never had a fear of being institutionalized. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. So I went there, with no real anger against anyone who put me there. Now, at the time, I was probably angry, but I don't have any remorse about that now, or regret or anger. And it really taught me just how much people are suffering that we don't see. We see a lot of people, if you've ever been institutionalized or been in one of these settings, people that are really, 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 really struggling. And, it's not to say that, oh, wow, like, I'm so lucky. It's just, different perspectives of people going through different things. I think that's really important to talk about. So that's the main thing about this experience to date that really helped me shape me into who I am now. So it's been a year. A year ago, I was in this mental hospital. So real quick as a summary, what did I learn? I learned that, no matter how low I got, there were always people out there trying to help me and get me better. Being in a psychiatric ward for 4 days was very uncomfortable, but taught me how to be alone with my thoughts, and that was really, really important for the OCD recovery journey. Very, very important. And it taught me how to have compassion for other people because at the time, I had no empathy for anyone. And it was really sad to say that. I just was so focused on myself and so forth. And that's really, really, really important to me is to be able to have empathy and see that other people are also struggling. When we have a mental health, I always say this, mental health disorder, when you look at someone that doesn't have an arm, it's so easy for the mind to say, oh, wow, they don't have an arm. But when you are struggling with mental health, it takes much more perspective and opening up your mind to seeing what they are going through potentially to say, wow, like this person might be really struggling. And that is not the easiest thing to do by any means. So it's something that really taught me a lot about life, and really realizing just how many compulsive behaviors I had because my anxiety was so low there, but I had so many checking, so much internal checking, so much external checking. I've never done any videos on this, but I'm almost recovered from body dysmorphia. I'm not fully, but I'm a lot closer. I would not wear underwear because I didn't like the way it felt. Uh, Potentially why I have somatic OCD, because my mind knows I'm afraid of sensations. So, just keep this a little bit shorter of a video, but I just wanted to talk about, the importance of, what it was for me and my experiences going to this mental hospital. And that if you ever do go to a mental hospital, whether they diagnose you with OCD or not, you know, uh, you can recover from, OCD, PTSD, and anxiety and stuff like that. I'm living testament of that. I'm not fully recovered, but just the amount of progress I've made in 6 months is drastic, and the amount of progress I've made in 1 year is exponential. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and have a great day. Thank you.